the renderings or during if anybody wants to interject.
Well, if you're only going to show us the drawings that we've got, then I think maybe we can jump over that.
Yeah, well, the renderings, they are from an updated plan, so there may be some things that may be a little different, but for the most part, I can speak to what the minor changes are from the set that you have versus what's in the rendering.
Okay, we'll go ahead then. Okay, so, all right, good. You've got the picture up on our screen.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. So if we go back a little bit in time to our last meeting, part of the discussion or the main topic of discussion was where would we demolish which sections of the building would you guys recommend being demolished versus what you wanted to see stay. And so the decision was that the only acceptable part would be the white portion, which is the last extension of the building. Barton, after the meeting, he emailed me drawings of the original building design, which did include the two-story section of the building that has this similar brick color. And so it was decided that we would keep this section and remove the white portion of the building, and from that we would develop the rest of the project while also maintaining the existing YMCA building exterior.
Well, I want to go straight to the issues that the commissioners raised when we were with you last time, and I guess I'll start with mine. I thought the drawings at that time showed too much metal. I suggested that you start by thinking of limestone and the color of limestone, and then maybe deviate from that into a different material. And what you seem to have done instead is to use a great deal more brick. And you know something, I don't have a problem with that, but that's just me.
Yeah. So let me get into the renderings then.
Yes.
We'll see. So this is so basically what we did was we kept, as you can see, the YMCA building is intact with the portion of the building that was in discussion last, the two-story section, still there, but we built on top of it, and we also created these breaks in the facade that that should make it feel as if it's a natural transition to the rest of the building, to some sort of sequencing, as well as taking a piece of the existing structure, the cornice material, and adding this the metal section, as you can see pointed out in the drawings, happens to be this copper patina color cladding that as we go around the building, you'll see, which is further layered with similar brick color as the existing building around the rest of the structure. Another issue was addressing the streetscape, and everyone wanted to see how this would feel with parking sort of behind here. And as you can see, it's the parking kind of starts right here in this area towards here, and you really aren't able to see it because we extended the program of the building in this area, so there's no parking behind here, and literally there's really only parking here, and incorporating the same size and style of windows, but just having openings and window grills, it feels as if it's the same fenestration as above. That also matches the rest of the facade on 6th Street. Oh, sorry. And this is a aerial shot of the building. So as we come down the street now, you get your bird's eye view how this streetscape is. This rendering is still in progress. It's not fully complete yet, but I wanted to make sure that we got to show it so you guys can see how all of the materials overlay and kind of play with each other, and how it all ties in with the original YMCA. It's my opinion that we are still preserving the YMCA, the beauty of the details of the building, while also extending the life and character of this building by adding this extension at the rear, and we're sort of wrapping around the corner. And so we're still going around with a similar color. We're going to try to get as close to the color that makes sense of the original brick, while also continuing this copper at these different breaks at the rear facade. This kind of extends off. If you guys remember my last presentation, that was something I wanted to do, was kind of show this underlying metal, which gives a break in the brick pattern and color.
This is the first time I'm seeing this in color.
Yes.
So tell me about the parts of this that are light green. What material is that? And
it's copper, patina.
The color of weathered copper?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the material as well, not just the color.
Oh, all right.
The material is copper?
Well,
Yes.
no, looking to the left down Cleveland Avenue, the parts of the building are green.
Yes.
Right there.
Yep.
Okay, that's copper.
Yes.
Ah, okay. I did not realize.
And so, and then you have it here as well at this is the main entrance of the building. So it's here, and then we'll see on another view that I show that it pops up again. So it's to serve as an accent, because it is going to kind of stand out more than the other colors, which are kind of neutral and are playing a neutral role in this sense. But it also provides a decent balance for the size of the project.
Okay.
And again, this is.
I see you've gone to all wood windows.
Yeah, we're still. The windows. I don't know if I love them yet, but we're still working with how they're gonna look. But yeah.
Okay. Questions and comments from the commission?
I still have more if you guys want me to go.
You do? All right, we'll do that, because then I have to take the screen out.
No problem. And this is.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So this is Cleveland Avenue, and so this would be that main entrance as we turn the corner, and then this is another entrance which would be for commercial use, and then this is just continuing the copper at these bays with we have balconies, we have terraces, we have rooftop decks. So it's a lot going on, but I think it's busy, but it makes sense. And then this is looking from the corner of Cleveland and Fifth, and this is the last one. So now here we have like a darker brick color at the base of the storefront, and we'll probably add some more glass here, but we're still developing this. But overall, this is what we have for the design. And if you guys want me to stop sharing, I can.
Yeah, I want to give this to the commissioners. One question though: the trees in the elevation from Cleveland looking east, there are trees that appear like they're on the top. Is that plantings that are going to be on the roof, or is it just from trees on Watchung Avenue? Because none of them are that big.
No, yeah, we will look to incorporate some sort of plant life on these terraces. Just we have to do a little more research to see what actually makes sense going up there.
Okay. Remember though, this is an informational second session. You're not getting an approval tonight. The point of this is to tell you if you're going in the right direction. And with that, I'm going to open it up. Larry.
Hey, thank you. Sir, I have to applaud you. You listened a lot to what we said last time and changed your design significantly. Just a little note for you. If you had sent us those renderings before tonight, this project makes so much more sense. I mean, I was reading these documents here that, the HPC blah, blah, blah through 21, and trying to figure out how deep this building was and where the shadows were and where the windows were going and the terraces was very difficult. Those renderings were very good. So, my suggestion as we move forward, perhaps something like that, if you change your design, should come with your packet. Okay?
Yeah, it's always a timing thing with the rendering because it takes so much time and you're ahead and you're behind. So I knew I wanted to have them for this night, but I knew they wouldn't be available for submission.
Okay. With the rendering and with your plans too, the rendering shows that you just showed us shows a uniform brick all the way around, except it's also shows on the old building, and that's not the color of the old building. The old building is that old deep red brick. So my question was, because on your plans you seem to switch colors as you go back down 6th Street, but on your 3D rendering you show a uniform brick, including the YMCA, which is not that color. So what is the color scheme? And
well, the rendering represents the color scheme, and that was one of the updates that I was suggesting happened from the time the plans were submitted to the time that we finalized which colors and materials we wanted to go.
Do you mean the paper rendering or the 3D rendering?
The 3D rendering that I just showed. I'm sorry.
Okay, but you've changed the color of the YMCA brick.
No, that's not the intention. If you look at the first image I showed you and the next image that I showed, they're matched as much as possible as you can on the rendering.
No, what I'm saying is that one of the beauties of the 3D rendering is the play of that light brown brick and that verdigris copper. It's a really, really good combination and set off, and I applaud you for that.
Agreed.
But the brick on the YMCA and the addition is not that color. It's red. It's an old red brick, which would play off differently against your copper green. So what I'm asking you is, are you changing the color of the brick on the new portions of the building, or are you going with that red brick all the way around, which is what your 3D model seems to say?
My intention was to go with the color of the brick of the YMCA, the section of the building on Watchung Avenue, the main part of the building.
And go all the way around the new building?
Yes.
All right. Well, you need to change the color because while I really like the color combo of what you showed in the 3D rendering, I don't think the red brick is going to really be the same. So I'm just telling you, you need to do that when you come back to us. Decide the color for us.
Yeah, and I also know that there's definitely a longer process involved in terms of making sure we're matching brick colors and seeing which colors actually work best, and also with the copper as well. So, but that is the intent.
All right. Is this a bigger building than you came to us before? Has more units?
I think the last time we spoke.
I can address. Last time we spoke, there was a thought of 165 units. I know on the agenda you have 145, but our application is 154. The commercial space is a little bit, it's 5,500 as opposed to the over 6,000 square feet on the commercial space that we're proposing.
Okay, so the 154 is what you applied for last time?
I believe in my meeting notes, we indicated it could go up to 165, so we actually reduced the number of units.
Mr. Wilder, I wanted to ask you, I talked to you particularly about the facade, the new facade on Watchung, the one that sits up over the old YMCA building.
Yes.
And going over your paper plans, that gave me a lot of pause because it looks like, and I know they're stepped back, so in reality, and you see that on the 3D drawing, they're a little different. You're going to see a wall of windows on 3 stories. Now, I know you put a sight line in here, but I think that sight line is for someone who's laying on the ground with their head on the sidewalk. Because really, usually they have a 6 foot up from the sidewalk for the sight line up. So I think you're going to see more of this front than your plan suggests. That might be a small error, but
No, the sight line is not an error. The sight line is actually pushed back further from the edge of the street. It's not the edge of the sidewalk. It's further back into the sidewalk. And I'm not hiding from the fact that it's going to be seen. Based on the program and just having a core, I kind of have a 2 cores. One of them is a smaller core, but to be able to step it back and still have vertical circulation to all those floors, a portion of that building was going to have to be seen from the front. But also, that's part of the reason why I chose that color, because it does contrast well with that brown brick like you mentioned before. And so if you are looking at it, this is the building, we can't hide it. We can't hide it. So the best thing to do is to make it look complementary to what was there while not necessarily taking away from it. And so I'm not trying, the sideline is to show that yes, you are going to see the building, and it's kind of like, hey, let's figure out the best way to embrace what we're going to see, which is why when you are looking at it, you're going to see windows, but you'll also see the copper, but not the full facade, like straight on you.
right. I understand that, although that's what your paper rendering seems to show, but your 3D rendering was quite different. But my suggestion is that you take a look at that 3-story addition that goes above the roof, and instead of having those straight windows that you've got, all in a line, all in a row, mimic the windows that are the original building on the top floor just under the cornice. You see how they're paired? Those windows are paired. They have a lintel. They have something in between them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be much more in keeping with the old building if the windows on that facade that are now, this is what you're going to see, that old building right there. And right above it, you're going to see the new addition. It's not like going down 6th Street. So my suggestion is you might think about pairing those windows and then running a cornice course, as you've done on the side of the building, across that, what would be the 4th floor top, 5th floor, 6th floor. You see what I mean? You're mimicking the cornice over the front of the old YMCA by adding it to above each of those sets of horizontal windows, because you've done it on the other side.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is, this is just too glaringly modern and there when you're looking directly at the front of the classic YMCA building. And you've done, I see, and I applaud you for that. You've done surrounds on the 6th Street side, for example. The windows seem to have, I don't know if it's limestone, sills and so forth, or whether it's just going to replicate that. But so I think you could make that top of the YMCA much better.
Okay. Thank you. I'll definitely look into that.
Just one or two other things. What are these garage doors going to look like on the 6th Street side? They're just going to be your old metal, shop front doors?
No, that wouldn't even fit with the design. So we definitely will try to incorporate something that's decorative and fits the style of the design, because we're not going to try to take away from with the garage doors, because we have 3 of them, and 1 on 6th Street and 2 on 5th Street.
Okay, and that was the other thing, and I don't want to get into a big deal, but in the paper renderings on page HPC 21, number 4, which is the 6th Street side, you showed 2 garage doors, which actually don't match up with your interior plan on the 1st floor. So
yeah, that was another thing that changed.
Right. I'm just telling you to address that.
Yep.
And the brick on the new portion, is that real brick? Is there a bricklayer putting that up, or is it something else?
What do you mean, the construction of the wall?
No, the exterior skin of the new building, say on the 6th Street side, are
Yes,
those actual bricks laid by a bricklayer?
yes.
Okay.
Well, yes.
Yes or no?
You said bricklayered.
Well, are they panels? Are they brick panels that
No,
you're
they're
putting into
bricks.
place? They're
Yeah,
bricks.
they're-
Someone's going to put one on top of the other.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could hire somebody else to do it, but that's
Yeah.
Okay. Also, when you come back with us on your formal application, number one, you should decide about those wooden windows all around the
Mhm.
building, which I would appreciate you thinking strongly in favor of.
hmm
And then when you come back, we will need very detailed descriptions of the material you're going to use for the front of the YMCA in Watchung, the old building. What
Yes.
those doors are actually going to look like down to the nails. What the windows are if you're going to change it. If you're changing the stone in some way, exactly what you're doing. Okay, because that's that's something we're going to want to know very precisely.
Yeah, that was Barton also pointed that out to me on the last letter he sent me. So yeah, all of those are noted.
Okay. And just the last thing, which it's a little different when I see it in your 3D rendering, and I think it is different from your paper rendering. But on the other side, I guess the 5th Street side, I kind of like the way you blocked out. Almost they look like little townhouses on that side. If you had taken them down to the street instead of having them stop at the first floor, they would have looked like sort of like townhouses.
Yeah.
I liked that look of that side very much. I'm not suggesting you change it or move it or anything. I'm just telling you it was nice. Although I think you're doing something a little funky with it on the 3D rendering, but
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Trust me, I go back and forth with design decisions a lot. So any feedback is always helpful.
All right, thank you.
It's a couple of minutes to 11. Does anybody have a problem with it if we keep going another 15 or 20
No.
minutes so we get this done?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted everybody to take a break an hour ago. Okay. Questions and comments from anybody else? Gail?
Oh, never mind.
Real
Go
quick,
next.
real quickly, I do agree with Larry that the 3D rendering helped a lot because originally looking at the drawings, the only thing I could think of is the game Connect 4. I wasn't quite sure where everything was going and the shadows and everything like that. So it does help a lot. I still don't think that the design is sympathetic enough to the classical nature of the YMCA as it is now. I do appreciate some of the limestone that you added. There's just something with the windows that doesn't sit well design-wise with me, and I'm not quite sure what it is. It's just looking at it, even with the 3D rendering on the East 6th Street side and the Watchung side. Now, I do love the Cleveland side and the 5th Street side. Somehow that looks good. But there's just something a little bit off. I just don't find it sympathetic enough to the original YMCA. That's all.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I have to commend you on really giving this thing some character and texture and color. It has a nice urban feel to it. It's playful. I sort of understand what Gail's saying, and I think maybe that, the size of the new edition is just so big that it has to have its own character, and it can't help but bear down a little bit on the historic structure. But I think you picked up details of the historic structure and used them in a modern, playful way. Is it really going to be true copper? Is it going to be red copper that's going to patina over age, or is it going to be pre-patina copper? That just seems so expensive to put all that copper on there. I mean, even if it's metal panels that were colored to look like patina, I think that would be fine.
Well, yeah, we'll start with the ideal goal of being real copper patina, but
then you
and that's why I tried to limit. Yeah. But that's what I say. I've been investigating, and there are people where they paint the metal to look similar. So I want to see those up close to see how it really feels, because I think one thing you can't replace are those little dots in the copper that give you that variation of color, and that's where the real kind of character picks up those other brown brick colors as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think, with windows, I think you've done a nice job with the windows. I like the use of those vertical lines in the spandrels between the windows. And it's big, I guess that is what it is. It's awful big, I'll say that. And maybe, I'm looking down at the floor here because I have the drawings down here.
No problem.
Maybe, between the new and the old building, maybe there could be a little bit more of a simple, like almost like a gasket or a relief between the two, but subtle, not a massive change. That would be my only comment. I mean, I think it's like, it has a nice urban feel to it, a nice streetscape, very different from what we saw before. I know what we saw before was really preliminary, but I think you've done a great job, and I think it's a place that people would be proud to live in, and that would be an addition to a real kind of downtown addition. I think you've gone in a great direction. It's more than I imagined, so I think it's great.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Kirk, you want to go next?
I like the building probably better than any design I've seen lately, and I think it'll be a great addition to downtown. But I don't have any negative comments on it.
Bill?
Hang on.
You want to add anything? You're muted.
You've muted yourself.
Okay.
Surprise. I thought it was really a nice change from the first plans we saw. And I think it's a nice looking building. John preempted me of my question about the copper panels, whether they'd be allowed to turn green by themselves. And there probably need to be something done to them so they're green when they go on the building.
I'm concerned that there may be a couple of drawings that I don't have at all, and I don't know why.
What do you mean? In the set?
Well, what you were showing us before, the elevations of the west and south, I don't have any of that.
Oh wow. Well, they were in the set.
How many drawings were there?
There were, so in the PDF included a lot of images. So that was, I think, about 20 something pages. So I didn't print all of the images, but
And there's some of it that I didn't get.
25 pages.
What was printed was 10 pages, and that included all the elevations and floor plans.
That's what I got. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, but that's what was printed out. So I think that's what everyone has.
Can you give us that electronically?
I believe I
did provide a PDF of that when I submitted, but I can resubmit it if you can't find it. I do have the
No,
25
I have
pages.
it. I have it. I was under the assumption, because normally this is what is done, what you submit on the PDF is exactly what you submitted to me with the plans. And unfortunately, I don't have all this time to make sure that if you put 25 plans in the PDF, there should be 25 plans in the set that you submit to the commission.
I'll apologize. I work remotely, and this is the first I'm hearing that it wasn't 25 pages because my assistant told me it was all there. So I apologize if that's not the case, but I did submit you the PDFs. It's the first I'm hearing that it wasn't the full 25 pages.
Well, if you could get those out to us
That's
electronically in the next few days, I sure
will.
appreciate it.
I was trying to save paper.
Marcia,
I
I
know.
have the PDF.
Yes,
You sent that to me.
I did.
The only point I'm trying to make was the assumption is whatever you send in a PDF, the architect would have sent the same amount of sheets in the plans. That's all. And he only sent 10. He didn't send the full 25.
I
Okay.
realize some of us were unhappy trying to magnify the images on screen. It's sufficient to do some good. Personally, I want to be able to do that. So you can follow up with that later this week. All right, Sandy, did I ask you yet? Nope, guess not. All right, Mario. Sandy, was there anything you wanted to add?
Well, I'd like to see a little bit more delineation between the old and the new. I'm not sure what I want or how it would be done, but something that clearly says the old building ends here and this is new. And we're proud of it, but it's new. It's kind of like a pit bull giving birth to a Doberman or Great Pyrenees, whatever. It's so massive compared to the Y that I would just like to see kind of a here ends the Y and here starts the new.
Yeah, that was one of the challenges because it is a large building, and you would think the YMCA is a large building until you see this building.
Exactly.
Trying to come up with the balance of should this Y be connected in a sense where it feels like it's one building, or should the Y be separated where it's a little more difficult to achieve that to where it feels like one cohesive project. But I'll definitely look more into it to see if there's ways that we can kind of break it up more or make it stand out.
Is there a way you could step back the new building like by a foot so it doesn't become a one?
Well, the thing is where it goes to where it steps down to the 2 stories, it's all on the same plane. So
Right.
I could possibly step back above, but because the 2-story section doesn't necessarily, sometimes you can't tell if it is the original, which is what's because there's not many details on that section as it is the original, or not the original, but the section of the building closer to Watchon. It's kind of nondescript in a sense, so you don't know that this is part of the building, and the only way, like, if I separate it, it's probably still won't feel that way. So trust me, part of the reason why we didn't get back here as soon as you guys thought we would is because I was really trying to put time into answering these questions and figuring out what was the right balance.
But it really looks so much better than the last one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mario? Mario, you're okay?
So I don't want to be too redundant. Again, thank you for taking the time to listen. A lot of improvements on it. We'd love to hear more about the copper or potential copper. Just because it's A, is a big expense, and B, it seems like it's going to be a major part of the facade of this building. So it's quite a unique thing to bring to town. Haven't seen it, haven't used it, don't know much about it. Other than that, I think my fellow commissioners expressed their feelings pretty clearly. I think everyone's overall satisfied with the improvement of the last presentation versus this one. And that's really it. I hope this continues. I mean, there's still a long road ahead. The garage doors are a big portion to me as well. The landscape that's going to go in Cleveland all around, it's a big portion of this. So a lot of decisions to make as this goes along. But I think you're heading in the right direction for sure.
Thank you.
Gary?
You've done a really wonderful job on it. Here's my problem. This is so massive, and being put in the center of town like this comes to a point where I have to come to a point of accepting the hugeness of this project. All right, it will dwarf town hall, and I don't know any way around it. I really don't. I think you've done a phenomenal job of listening to us and improving and coming back with such a completely different plan. I was getting the feeling, and I'm trying to get it in my head, like, where did I see a building like this, and in what town, and everything else. And Somerville is one of those towns that have accepted really huge constructions like this. So I'm on the yin and yang. I really like what you did. I can't see it being where it's at. So for me, it's going to come to just accepting it is what it is, and this is where we're going to go with it. And then I can live with it from that point. But I think you did a really good job on it. It's just, it's so unusual than anything in Plainfield that we have, and put it into a prime historic district, our gateway almost to our center point in town. I'm still not sure, but I have to accept where you're going and where this project is going, and that's okay. It's just really changing the faceplate of Plainfield. That's how I see it. Okay, but I appreciate you listening to it.
Thank you.
I'm just going to make a couple of last remarks. Then I've got 4 hands up in the public, and then we'll wrap it up.
Good.
A couple of things that occurred to me. The parking, where it's on ground level, is it going to be visible from Cleveland? Is it going to be visible from 5th Street? Because I prefer parking to be entirely enclosed rather than seeing it on ground level with a building above it.
No, it will not be there. There is a small section where we will provide landscaping and a decorative fence to hide as much as possible, but it's probably maybe 20 feet of space that you could actually see, but that would be towards the top of 5th Street when you turn that corner. But on Cleveland, you're not going to see anything. You're going to see all commercial and residential entrance.
Okay, I'm still very concerned about the number of parking spaces. When you come in for your CA from us, we'll talk more about it, but I'm concerned it won't be enough spaces. And then the last thing, I realize this wasn't the item of concentration, but along the Watchung Avenue side, I pointed out last time that there isn't really a ground level. To go into the area that I assume was going to be retail requires a step down. So I want to see some treatment of that. I don't even know what the solution would be of that, but it's a concern to me.
Well, so there will be access on that side yard.
Yeah, but what will it look like?
Yeah, we'll have it a landscape design for that area.
Okay. I'm going to open this to public comment, but I'm going to limit everybody to about 2 minutes, so please don't abuse it. It's very late, and I see Nancy first.
Phil, can I talk?
I'm sorry, I was going to... Yeah, I didn't call on you. Oh, boy. Go ahead.
All right. So, Mr. Wilder, I think you did a great job, I think, listening to the commissioners. And I think the copper facades and as well as the masonry facades are much appreciated over the metal. So I think that's going over well. Although on the 6th Street facade, I think Commissioner Alexander was correct about fenestration and maybe trying to make it look a little more like, a building that's always been there on the 6th Street side. So it kind of maybe grew a little more organically out of the old building. And I think a lot of it can be tweaked through the window pairings and how you treat that. So maybe you can look at that a little bit more. And I like how you didn't try to mimic the historic building. So I think per the Secretary of Interior standards, I think it's critically important, Commissioner Gershman also brought this up, to separate the old building from the new building. So I really think, you know, where you have on the 6th Street side, you know, it's great that now you're keeping the entire L of the historic building, but I think you really need to make it look exactly the way it looks now. So you need to bring the cornice back, you know, to that rear portion of the building, bring the cornice back to where it is, which is above the 3rd Street level, and keep it there. And then, you know, you're already keeping that chimney stack that comes up out of it. And then what I would suggest above that is use a different masonry color. Like, you know, we don't want it to look like the YMCA. We want the YMCA to stand alone with its beautiful red brick, very deep, dark red brick. And then maybe the rest of the building has something that matches the copper a little bit better. Some kind of different, you know, even a buff colored brick or a lighter shade of red brick. So then it's very clear to everybody, oh look, there's how big the historic building used to be, and I can see what was added to it. I think that's critically important for everything that you're going to do. And then I think those are really my major points. You know, I'll try to follow up with you after the meeting, but I think you know, the rear facade of the building I think is really interesting, and I think you're making a lot of progress there. It's a little busy, but I know you'll work out details as you move forward with that. So I think really the 6th Street facade, I think if you could figure out how to make that work, really differentiating the old from the new and kind of the, you know, color and material palettes, I think that'll go a long way to kind of making the whole project cohesive. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you find any details that you need a little more guidance from us, just do that through Barton. We'll go on it from there. Okay, Nancy, you're on for 2 minutes. Unmute. Hi, Nancy?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay. Sean?
Yes.
Do I have to say my name again, by the way?
Yes.
Sean McKenna, 1402 South Avenue. So, Mr. Wilder, did you do the South 2nd Street development?
Yes.
You did. So I was on the planning board at the time. I admire your work. I always felt like you had some creative bones in your blood. You know, those boxes with decorative edges to them. By the way, welcome.